Today, ladies and gentlemen, using debt to make money, cash flowing properties and real estate on mortgages, and specifically I want to know what you do with debt. Are you using it for student loans? Are you using it for a house, or maybe starting a business? I want to know in the comment section below, but specifically I want to tell you how I plan on utilizing debt to cash flow, or even if I do or not. It's going to be interesting to find out in this video, and I'm also going to update you on the six-figure dividend portfolio, so let's jump right into this. Welcome back, my passive income investors alike. Today, I want to talk about cash flowing off debt, how we can safely use debt. I'm really curious. It's a new topic I've been talking a lot about recently, specifically because a lot of people like Dave Ramsey say you shouldn't even buy a house with debt. And I just know so many people that are against it. I used to hate it with a passion. I used to hate debt. I was one of those guys that was 100% for don't mortgage money out on anything. Don't buy it unless you can afford it. But now my mindset's changing a little bit, and I know a lot of millionaires making a ton of money taking out mortgages for second properties, mortgaging out debt to other people for second and third loans, buying businesses. There's a lot going on, and I'm just going to get right into this for you guys because I think this is a fascinating topic. Now, there's something that I've talked about very recently. Actually, you know what? Let's update the dividend portfolio first. Why don't we? I mean, I forgot Friday, guys. So the dividend portfolio currently sits at $110,000, 628 bucks. Don't exactly quote me on that. I'll be throwing it up on the screen. So the dividend portfolio is still sitting flat, but I'm still collecting them juicy dividends. There wasn't much going on Friday. The markets came back a little bit, but the Canadian dollar is still up, which is annoying because it's keeping the portfolio and my dividends down. But I want to specifically talk about why I'm trying to increase my cash flow and how I plan on doing it through debt. The thing with debt, and why I'm starting to realize debt might not be the worst thing in the world, is even if you have the money in the bank to back the debt up, you're still better off taking the debt out if you can cash flow, because then you keep the money in the bank, you're using the bank's money. It's just finding a safe and secure means or vehicle to start cash flowing. And a lot of people talk about real estate, because real estate, even if the numbers go down, that house isn't going anywhere. That property will always be worth something. And that's why a lot of people say you should never take out a debt except on real estate. But if you talk to people like Dave Ramsey, he's heavily against using debt to buy anything for that matter. And I'm kind of in the same mindset. I have been for a very long time. But recently, I've mentioned to you guys about a company called Empire Flippers. And Empire Flippers essentially is a website where you can buy, trade, and just sell online businesses that are cash flowing. And these businesses on the low end sell from anywhere to $50,000 to $100,000. And the numbers that I've ran on it seem to make sense time and time again. Because there's higher risk with this, the cash flow is much higher. Usually these businesses can cash flow anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month in the $50,000 to $100,000 range. So I figured that if you came up with a $20,000 or $30,000 deposit, you mortgage maybe $40,000 or $50,000 of it at 4%, you're looking at about $1,600 a year, which is still less than like one full month of income. So you can play the whole debt payment. And then what you'd probably want to do is have the debt paid off in 5 years. So you'd be looking at a 5-year term, hopefully the fixed rate of 4%. And then essentially what's going to happen is you're going to be taking half of the income. Ideally, you want to make 50%. So if it's cash flowing $2,000, after all the bills, expenses, and you're paying the business off or the loan off in 5 years, you're hoping to cash flow roughly, when I ran the numbers, it's usually between $800 to $1,000 on a business that's cash flowing roughly $1,800 to $1,900. Like, I've really run some numbers here. So you can cash flow an extra $800 to $1,000 a month while paying off the loans and still having the money in the bank without giving it up out of your pocket. And to me, this sounds kind of brilliant, but the problem is if you're buying an online business, and because I'm comfortable with online real estate, and I understand, when I say real estate, I mean you literally, people own part of the internet. And the way I mean, how can I explain this to make sense? So if you're on Google, I'm sure you've heard of SEO. And essentially what that is, or how SEO works, is you can get ranked in Google. So some people have spent years building up businesses, they got ranked in Google, and what you want is that natural organic traffic, because that means the seller's done something that has actually put the business up in a part of Google where people are just coming and finding it. And if the business is good enough and you can sustain that real estate you have on Google, that cash flow should cut cash flow forever. there's no reason for it to not cash flow, so long as it's not like a product like that's what I'm gonna call like a fidget spinner kind of product where it only lasts for like, half a year and then it dies. You want to find something that's been around for at least 2 to 3 years. I've been looking at those kind of businesses that are either info products, advertising related, like Google AdSense related, and just drives traffic to a website. Ideally, you want a business that is driving a lot of traffic, because if they're not even making a lot of money off Google AdSense, the fact that they're driving traffic is a great thing, because you can utilize those views in other ways other than just AdSense, which is a good upsell if you buy a business in those kind of niches. So what I plan on doing specifically is mortgaging probably about, again, $40,000 or $50,000, putting a $20,000 or $30,000 down payment on one of these businesses, and then immediately start cash flowing, guys. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to use that to defer my tax, because right now at the end of the year, the way it's looking, I'm probably going to end up paying somewhere between anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 in taxes, and that's for HST and income tax, and I don't want to do that. And I'm trying to do this legally, by the way. I'm not one of these illegal, corrupt guys. I'm literally trying to do this as legit as possible. And essentially what you do is when you buy an online business, you can relate it to your own business and say it's a business expense. You just needed this for your business to try and scale up. So then you can write that loan off. You've spent more this year than you've made, and it really helps you with taxes, and then you're cash flowing. And then the best part about it is as you pay the loan down, you're cash flowing more and more and more. And then literally year after year, you're making more in passive income, because usually these websites don't require much more than 2 to 5 hours of work a week. So you can cash flow a bit of extra income. So now you've increased your cash flow month over month to add to your regular income, and then you just keep banking. And then another year goes by and I'm in the same situation where I'm going to be left with a lot more money, more cash flow, and then look into doing something similar. But hopefully by then I'll have enough money saved up that I can put a down payment on a house, because the problem I'm having is I can't come up with enough money fast enough to put a down payment on a house. And the problem is by the time you do, you have to pay full tax on that down payment anyways. But I found a few loopholes. I'm doing a meeting on Tuesday with a bank. Like I said, I found out if you have an RSP, a registered retirement savings plan, you can actually utilize that, and you can take out credit against it, which I did not know. So essentially what a retirement savings plan is you can't really, if you can contribute to it tax-free, which means if you make money and you put money in that account, you don't pay any tax on that money. There's limits every year to how much you can put on those accounts. And I didn't want anything to do with those accounts, because again, you can't take money back out of it. If you make dividends in that account, you can't touch them. You'll get penalized if you're not 65. They just come with a lot of issues and things you have to understand. But I talked to an accountant and he told me what I can do is up to $25,000, I can take that out as a first-time home buyer and mortgage it into a property, which blew my mind, because that means I would only have to come up with about half a down payment on a $300,000 or $400,000 property, give or take. It'd probably be just over that. So the problem I have right now is I would have to come up with about $60,000 to $70,000 to get a down payment for a $300,000 to $400,000 mortgaged property, which is a lot. That is a crap ton of money. My parents would probably have to co-sign for it. It'd be annoying, and it's a headache and a half, because then I'd have to come up with $100,000 or $60,000 to $100,000 that I have to pay tax on top of that. But what this RSP is going to allow me to do is I can buy an online business, defer most of my money into that, and then max my RSP this year, which I think is about $12,500 I'm allowed to contribute to it. So over the next 2 years, just keep contributing to the RSP while I'm buying these online businesses. So I'm not paying tax into the RSP, I'm not paying any tax on the money I'm spending on the business, and my cash flow is increasing, and then I have the opportunity to mortgage that RSP later for property. And the best part about that is if $25,000 comes off that RSP, that means I only have to come up with somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000, which if you pay the tax on that, it's still hefty, but it's not nearly as hefty as paying $60,000 to $100,000 at 18%. Like, those numbers start getting staggering, right? So I'm just trying to gauge what the best options are and try and make the best decisions possible. Some of these could falter, absolutely. Some of these things could go wrong. I could be stuck with a lot of debt. The business could flop. There's always risk when you're getting involved with this kind of stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to advise you guys on what you should be doing with your money. I'm just here to document my own financial independence, retire early journey, and it hopes to inspire you guys, learn from you guys, which leads me to the question I want to know: are you using debt to make money? money? Do you have debt out on your credit card for buying stupid crap that you have to pay back on now? Or like, I'm not trying to be rude about this, guys. I'm just curious, what are you using debt for? Right now, I only use a credit card. I have a $1,000 credit card, and I only use it because it gives me 2% cash back on a lot of my purchases. So what I do is I literally, everything I purchase for my business, I do through the credit card, and I pay it off literally every 2 weeks. I've never paid, I don't think I've paid one interest payment on it ever, and it usually makes me $200 a year just from that 2% of spendings, which is super, super awesome, I think. So I really want to know, are you guys using money, or do you have a mortgage out on a property? Do you own a house? And if you do, let me know in the comment section below. How's that working out for you? Is it a cash flowing property, or are you living in that property? Have you ever taken money out for your business or on a business? And have you ever ran into issues where something didn't work out and you were left with the debt that you had to pay off? I want to know your best, your worst experience, guys. Just let me know in the comment section below. You don't have to tell me anything too specific, but I really, really want to know, because I think this is going to help the community, and it's going to help me understand a better way into my future. Because I just feel like if you use debt correctly, it can be super beneficial. And there's just too many people I talked to today that are taking out literally they're getting lines of credit, and they're giving it to people on second mortgages at 12%. And their idea behind it is that if they default on that loan, the property is going to get sold, and you are going to be able to get most of the money back out of the property. Because usually when people get a second mortgage, it's because they've already faltered with the bank, and usually that second mortgage is because their credit rating's not that great. It doesn't mean that they don't have any credit. It doesn't mean that they're going to owe the bank more than they owe you. It literally just means that they want a house. Some people and trust me, there's people out there that are willing to do this. I know people right now paying a 12% mortgage. Can you believe that insanity? It exists. And trust me, I know people making a ton of money off of it, and it's blowing my mind. So I'm not the biggest fan of the mortgage thing. I kind of like the online business route better. I understand it better. I actually kind of know what's going on. The only thing that scares me a little bit is the fact that because I'm comfortable with Google, it makes me more comfortable doing a purchase like this, because the purchase is a lot smaller than a house. And again, if you're trying to put money into a second or third mortgage, usually you have to come up with about 100 grand. You need to come up with a really large chunk of money before you can usually get away with that. And I don't know how comfortable I'd be, but after I talk to the bank and figure out what my best options are and figure out how much credit I can get, I'm gonna go from there. That meeting is on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'll let you guys know and I'll update you. But quick video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I love you guys very much. I can't believe how awesome the Dividend community is. So stay cool, guys. Stay awesome. And I look forward to chatting to you real soon.